Welcome to Career Compass, mapping your future. Visit yourcareerrevolution.com today to get your free guide on the benefits of working with a career ownership coach. Fear is really only false evidence appearing real. What if it's not going to be that bad?
We can use it in a way as fuel to help push us through that thing that we're dealing with or facing or that decision.
And we're incrementally moving towards that. Yes, it's a little bit messy. There are going to be winding roads, but that is okay. It's having the courage to move forward. My name is Tamara Loring, and I'm with the Entrepreneur Source. If you don't know anything about us, we have been around for over 40 years. And the one thing that we have done is obsess over empowering individuals to figure out what it will take to become self sufficient and to take action. If self sufficiency is something that's been on your mind and you keep on thinking, gosh, there has to be a better way. I need to figure out how to take control of my professional career and I want to be self sufficient, then I would encourage you reach out and experience for yourself what our unique patented coaching experience is all about. Today, organizational psychologist Dr. Mike and I want to explore a topic near and dear to my heart. As we think about fear and what we can do about it, I think it really helps when we start thinking about our own mindset, right? Starting there and just really figuring out a way on how to reframe it. One of my favorite quotes is actually from Edison, where while he was experimenting, he started saying, "Hey, look, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that something won't work." And, I don't know why adults, we get so hard on ourselves when we make a mistake, right? Because most mistakes are not fatal. Actually, if you really think about it, it's an opportunity to learn what doesn't work or what needs to be fine tuned, just like Edison. And thankfully, he didn't quit after 100 times or even 1,000 times. Otherwise, who knows where humanity would be today. So thank goodness he had the tenacity to keep going because he knew that there was going to be greatness beyond that point where it felt impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing I like about that is if you really think about the the fear, right, holding us back, or the times that we do fail, all of those things really, and there's a lot of cliches out there, but they really are just, you know, road markers along our journey to the end destination of the GPS, right? Those times that we learn, which is what we really should be doing in leverage, when we learn from our mistakes or from those failures, you're absolutely right. What does that show us? That shows us what won't work. And it also provides a sort of a guardrail, right, to kind of keep us narrowed and keep us heading in the right direction. So I love that you brought that quote up because that is very true.
Yeah, and I was just going to comment the same on you. I love the GPS analogy, right? I mean, imagine if we made a decision before we even got into the car, whether we're going to go or not, because we don't know what lies ahead, right? With the GPS, we may not know what lies ahead, but you know what? If there's a detour, so what? Okay, we take a detour. Maybe it wasn't the intended route, but it's going to get us maybe there 5 minutes later. All fine, right? We don't just give up if suddenly there's an accident or a flat tire or something like that and be like, oh, well, I guess I'm never going to make it to my destination. I think life and our careers is about that course, the constant course correcting, right? As long as we have a goal, we have a vision, it starts with mindset, creating a vision and the self talk that something is possible, even though you may not know how to quite get there yet, something that you can be hopeful about, something that you can get excited about, right? That is what a good mindset or a proper mindset, or let me not even say good or proper mindset, right? What is that? Think about whether your mindset is empowering or disempowering. And if it's disempowering, figure out a way to change that and find something that you can be hopeful about, right? That is what creating a vision is. In order to then figure out how a way to make your vision become a reality, I would say adopt a mindset of continuous learning, even if it's not clear yet. The more you think about it, the more you learn about it, the more you take action, it will become clearer. We talk about it at the Entrepreneur Source as to coaching to clarity. Surround yourself with people who get it, people who can encourage you, a strong support network, right? Seek mentorship. When I think about what I have accomplished in my life, it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have people who some days actually, quite frankly, believed more in me and my potential than I did myself. I remember there were times when I'm like, "Oh, man, I don't know." I felt like a hypocrite maybe or, imposter syndrome, right? When people said, "You can do it." I'm like, "Why do they think I can?" And thank goodness they did, because now when I look back, oh my gosh, how sad would my life have been if I never took action? But it's so nice when you have people who believe in you and give you the motivation and the courage. And like I said, sometimes maybe they see something that you don't even see for yourself.
Right, and if I could, I just wanna throw in a little nugget, and this one's totally on the house. So, some of the things you just mentioned when you surround yourself with other people, right? The right kind of people, when you observe successful people, you hear the cliche saying all the time that success leaves clues. The second part to that is, did you know that it is psychologically impossible for you to recognize a trait, a characteristic, or an element of someone else's behavior that is not in you, right? So if you can see someone, look at someone, and identify they're a very charismatic person, like they are awesome, that means it's charisma is in you too. You have that in you, right? If you can look at someone else and see, certain traits of leadership, empathy, and you can understand that and realize what it is, that means it's in you too. So again, that goes back to, having belief in yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people. And that's why I think a lot of times people tell us, of course, our family are like, oh, yeah, you can do it because they love you, they care about you, they want to lift you up. But when you talk to other business people or entrepreneurs or other people that you aspire to be like and hang out with, if they're the ones telling you, yeah, you should apply for that job because I know you can do it. They're seeing something in you that you don't. So it's there. But sometimes we just need someone to help give us that little nudge.
This is where the rubber meets the road. Why action matters and bridging the gap from dream to reality. Let's be honest, right? It is fun dreaming. I love bantering back and forth with you, thinking about what could be possible. But boy, now, when it's time to take action, this is when things get real. And honestly, this can be quite scary. It is easy, so easy to get stuck in the, well, this was great, this was nice. Someday, one day when I have a little bit more time, one day when I feel a little bit more prepared, one day, right? That day will never, never come. And, whether it's fear or procrastination, maybe overwhelm, or simply not knowing where to start. I have learned that on my own journey that clarity comes from action, not just from thinking about things more. Waiting until I feel comfortable or confident are likely feelings that are always going to elude me. So think about it. It's not about once you feel 100% confident, 100% comfortable, right? It's about educating yourself, and once you have the education, look, it's not about jumping off of cliffs or being reckless, right? You have the information. Now it's about making an informed choice. And I know that does take commitment and that absolutely takes courage. But oh my gosh, once you've mustered up the courage to at the very least take that first step, I have found that confidence, pride, the feeling of accomplishment and empowerment, and a whole bunch of other miraculous and amazing things happen. So, Doc, I've said a whole bunch there again because I get so excited, but why don't we unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is so important for all of us to remember, right, as you go down this journey and especially, go through the exercise with your career coaches, one of the things we have to remember, right, is we're not starting over from scratch. We're starting from experience. So is it a new chapter? Yes. Is it something new? Yes. Is it possibly a new direction? Yes. But you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting from experience. Leverage the foundation and the experience and the education that you have to make that first step. And you said something about those little small wins, those little small decisions, all those little road signs, right? And markers along the journey to success. Every time you accomplish a little step, every time you overcome a small thing, every time you create that habit of small daily action steps, those build up to eventually bigger steps and bigger steps. And oh, yeah, by the way, along the way, you increase self confidence, self esteem, awareness, motivation, joy, right? And the list goes on and on. And all of those things will trump and squash fear, anxiety, doubt, worry, right? So just keep that momentum step by step moving forward. And it's psychologically proven the benefits of moving forward and not letting those negative things like anxiety, worry, fear stop you, but use them as fuel to create the joy, the excitement, the increased self-esteem, and all the other things we talked about. So there is so much to be said about action.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite things that a mentor once said to me is, "Hey T, make sure you catch yourself thinking certain things, right? Because just because I think something, just because I feel something, or even deeply believe in something, doesn't necessarily make it true or even right." So catching myself, when I have these limiting beliefs, and I don't even believe they're limiting at that moment in time, right? Because it seems like fact, but really to turn off those things, the frustration, turn your frustration into fascination, turn your fear into curiosity.
Yep. Yeah, and that, again, we touched on this before, the law of polarity, right? It's a law of nature, a natural scientific law, right? Everything has an equal opposite, right? So what does that mean? To your point, right? Up, down, in, out, off, on, hot, cold. So for every fear, there's a polar opposite. For every worry, there's a polar opposite. For every problem, there's a solution. We just have to pick ourselves up out of the emotion long enough to find it.
Right, right. So taking it a more of a fact-based approach as opposed to an emotional gut-based approach. I love that. If you enjoyed today's episode, please go to yourcareerrevolution.com and request your free guide to the benefits of working with a career ownership coach. Thank you so much for listening.